Thank you. So we'll try and get the discussion rolling. We'll be taking questions in the end, but if during the discussion you have something to say, so please let me know. Wave your hand, or just stand up and yell. I don't see this side of the audience very well, especially you there. There's lots of toys between you and me. So it might be a problem, but please let me know you have a question and we'll just get you in the discussion. So I want to start by asking, I think it seems to me that not even one generation of kids has grown up in this new environment. I mean, truly grown up, gotten through universities and to jobs. And therefore, we probably don't have facts about how this will affect our children. And new technology has always had this, brought with it these fears that, books were supposed to ruin kids, and then radio, and then TV, and so on. So are we sure there's a problem? Maybe we should just, end this discussion and go to the coffee break early and say, there is no problem. Is there a problem? Who starts? Martin?
Yep. Every innovation means change, and every change is jump to uncertainty. So it's very easy to scare people with any change. So it could be change in regard of I don't know, government or teaching methods or technology. But technology has always been one very easy instrument for scaring up the people, especially parents, I would say. It depends how paranoid you are. Some people just love to be scared. They love to watch horror movies and so on. So what can we do? So if you like to be scared, so here, go on. Here is technology. Be scared of technology.
I think someone was scared. They set up this panel. So we ought to discuss this question here.
Yeah.
I mean, people in general are scared. If you read the papers, they are scared.
But some people are, and some people are not. So there is always like this normal distribution. But you're right that any technology, also non-digital technologies, have been used to scare people. But it's just, I think that it's kind of normal. So we just have to not to let us being carried away by the most paranoid group of parents or teachers or politicians, and just to maintain the healthy level of paranoia. So this is needed also. To be completely fearless is also very bad.
Okay, Birgit, do you see in your school, is there a problem?
With children, there's not that much problem, but I have heard of this kind of research that when you are under 35, you are living in this digital world and everything is natural for you. You are not scared of that. And when you have 35 and over, then all of the things what comes in the world is new for you and scary. I'm 37. So 3D printing,
to scare you.
3D printing and virtual reality devices. I don't like to do, but I'm struggling with myself, so I learn 3D printing. But when you tell me that I should use VR technology at schools, so I take this all the day in here, I don't think it's normal, so I'm scared of that. So but with children, give me this and do that. So it depends how old you are and what is natural to you or not.
Okay, Elizabeth?
I'm a lawyer. By definition, that means I'm a very paranoid person. That means I look at worst case scenarios and I try to fix them. I would agree with Mart that we need a sort of balanced paranoia. I think that was the term you used. I've seen technology journalists who have written about letting their children just be online all day. They just gave it to them. Total and free access. And you know what? The kids were fine. They didn't care anymore. They just weren't even interested. And then I've seen the other extreme, and you probably all have seen this, where you go to a children's birthday party, and you can tell which kids are not allowed to have the sweets, because those are the ones that are at the table doing this. So I think that it's difficult, but I would say this sort of balanced paranoia is crucial. And one of the reasons why is because of laws and because of this crazy, creepy things that are happening online. Let me give you an example. In France now, it has become a possibility for children to sue their parents for putting too much information online, for oversharing is what I call it, oversharing that personal information. Can you imagine? But it's true, don't those children have the right not to have their pictures on the potty, or to I don't know, to be 13 and going into puberty and having their parents write about it, on sharing it on Facebook? Another example, you mentioned virtual reality. I just read about the first woman who was sexually harassed in a virtual reality game. I mean, come on. So there's always going to be something where we need to be prudent and we need to be reasonable, and we have to realize that we do not have the long-term research. We don't have the evidence-based research that tells us what is the real effect of doing this all the time. We just don't know.
But the rules, if we are going to set rules, then I think the rules that we're going to set to children must be set to ourselves as well.
Of course.
We are just as bad on,
Or worse.
or worse on Facebook, or being unable to put the phone down an hour before going to bed. We can't do this ourselves, can we?
No. And most of the parents I've seen, it's very difficult for them to be a digital role model. It's very difficult, myself included. It's
Yeah,
hard.
myself included.
It's hard.
Yeah.
So about the rules, I would say that in so fastly changing technology landscape, rules are moving target. So I think more important than the rules is discussion and communication about the rules. So I think this will take us further away if we keep this discussion open, and if we always question the existing rules. And I would say this common sense and communications are more important.
Which goes back to the communication of parents just speaking with their children to
Yeah.
find out that's another way to prevent some of this icky stuff. And
The worst-
icky is a legal word, by the way.
The worst thing is to fix the rules or to follow the rules which are 20 years old.
So what are the rules, actually? Do you have any rules for children in this new digital world? Birgi, you have rules?
We made this exercise with our students from the 4th grade to 9th grade, and we gathered all of the cyber and digital safety rules and regulations, and we made 6 groups of them, so we did a research, and then we started voting what is the basic and main rules what should be enforced. And the teachers talk about not taking pictures and sharing devices, but the students voted for I can be wrong, I can make mistakes, and I can make it again good, and everybody should be appreciated and valued. I think our children are more better way of thinking how to live in this world than the parents who are afraid of a lot of things. So I like my students that they are so sensible and adult about that.
Well, the kids are the kids are looking very good currently
Yeah.
in this discussion. I mean, we're here supposedly to discuss the kids, and I think we should more discuss the parents themselves, or the grown-ups. Are you saying that the kids will be fine?
Yes, the kids will be fine, because I started using technology when I was 11, and I have done all of the bad and everything things. I have met strangers, I have put up a lot of pictures and these kind of things, and I'm fine. So,
Yeah, please.
I think I'm afraid you missed a very important point in Birgi's message, that the kids won't be fine if just per se. So kids will be fine if they have been taught by teachers like Birgi to discuss and negotiate about the rules and come up with the rule set that they all accept based on the consensus. So this is the most valuable gift we can give them, not just letting them go and do what you want, and I'm scared of this, I don't know how to touch it, but trying to teach them that rules are important, but you can actually design your own rules. So, and the rules your students designed, I think they are much more knowledgeable about these rules, and they follow these rules much better and maintain them also on the horizontal level. It means that mentioning to some of their classmates, hey, we had rules like this, as opposed to the other rules that would have been given from, I don't know, the state chancellor's office or something like this.
yeah. But Estonia works in the same way. We are hoping that everything is bottom up, not forced for us. And when somebody forces for us some filtering or something, we go and rally on the streets, and we never go rallying.
So what is it that we are most afraid of here with the kids and tech?
You know, I think it's interesting. Is it because Sonia Livingston at EU Kids Online did a survey to find out what our kids are afraid of and what their parents are afraid of. And they're two different sets of fears. But I just wanted to go back briefly to what you were saying about the rules for just 1 second, because the same sort of communication rules that we're talking about in the schools is exactly what parents should be doing at home anyway with family media agreements, or we don't have to even call them the technology agreements or contracts, but just spelling out what's acceptable. When can you go online? When can you not? When can you have a friend over and do a video and not? And so it's all of this communication and rules that are discussed and decided together. But going back to the fear, so yes, there are different sets of fears. When I was working for European SchoolNet, one of the things that we saw is that parents are afraid of stranger danger, of meeting the strangers that Birgi was out meeting.
She met them.
Yeah, she met them. But when you look at the calls that they were receiving in their hotlines, it was only 4%. What was the top one? Number one was cyberbullying and also having problems with their romantic relationships. These are the things that kids were afraid of and fearful of, but stranger danger, really one of the number one fears of parents, wasn't even a concern.
So what do we make of it? I mean, these problems you described, the romantic problems of teenage kids, they have been always there.
Of course.
It's not new, is it?
It's not new, but the difference is that instead of saying, okay, you show me yours, I'll show you mine, and playing doctor, now it's social media and it goes viral. And so it's not hidden in a schoolroom closet. It's out there for everyone to see. That is the problem.
So how do you fight this? Only with open communication? Only with telling your kids, if there's something like this happening, just come and tell me? Or is there a technological side to all of this?
Come and tell me, come and find another trusted adult, come and find a trusted teacher, because they're not always going to come and
But
tell
that's
the
the
parent.
same advice we should have and probably gave them 50 years ago.
Yes, nothing has changed. We just have better toys to play with.
So there is no technological side. I mean, should we edit and censor and monitor the internet and the communication? And is there a technological way of protecting the kids? But
technology definitely has a role in it. So by the nature, technology always has been an amplifier. So it amplifies anything. If you're a good person, you can do so much more good with technology. If you're a bad person, unfortunately, you can do much more harm. But there is not one single silver bullet technology that will make disappear some sort of threats or fears like strangers or bullies. Or it eventually technology in good hands becomes an amplifier to solve it, but the solution comes from humans.
others? No?
We have a very good IT security specialist, Anto Veldre in Estonia, and he always talks when he comes to my students and then says that if you are in love, I know you want to make the picture. Please, if you want to share your body, please, head different, and then you can take this picture because all of the population in the world, half are female, all the same. But if you put your head in that picture, then of course you get into trouble. But I think the problem is with the boys, not with the girls, because the girls are always getting this education, do this, don't be that. But with boys, we say, yes, it's good that you share this kind of things. So it's like a double...
I'm sorry, what do we say?
So the boys are raised differently. This is the problem, that boys can do a lot of things and the girls shouldn't do. So the boys are
boys
not
can
taught.
go out and be adventurous and, the past does not come back and bite them.
But now it's a little bit changing in the world. So it's nice that we should have all the good boys also, not only bad boys.
Should we monitor the electronic communication of our kids as parents at home?
That is such a tough question.
I know.
That's like asking, should parents be allowed to read the paper diary? It's a difficult question. And really, for me, every family has to judge, because if you have a child that's at risk and there's other things going on, and if your child is is absolutely fine, showing no signs of addiction or other problems, well, then maybe you have raised a good egg and they can be on their own. For me, I've never ever given parents advice to do or not to do to monitor.
Okay, let me rephrase the question.
Yeah, because it's a tough one. It's a tough one. That was a lawyer answer.
Do you do it?
No, I do not. No, my boys they're only 7 and 10, but because I don't monitor, I don't have monitoring equipment and things like that. But I do. I ask them what they're doing. I see what they're doing. I know when there's a problem. I can hear the problem occasionally. You had mentioned before talking about technology, if technology should be doing something. What I think is interesting in that, and there's nobody from industry, from Google or Facebook or Twitter here, is that the technological companies, Samsung, are doing things. They have safety centers online. They have whole reporting mechanisms. They have information. They have things to help our children, to help parents. And I ask you, how many of you have read your terms and conditions for Facebook? How many of you have read it for Twitter or for any of the other websites that you use? No one does. Everyone just clicks and goes, and the kids do too. But those resources are there to help. There is something. Ask him about monitoring. His kids are older.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask him because he went there and said, I let my kids do anything. You didn't say though if they turned out fine.
I said that turned out fine.
Okay,
but
did you?
but I didn't say that I just let them do anything. So I tried to kind of guide them towards controlling their behavior by themselves as soon as possible. So it means that we had discussions about rules and what's good and what's bad and so on. But and then if sometimes I saw there was a problem, I didn't react with punishment and taking away the computer, never, and just by discussing again. But I never checked the web history of any of my kids. So I think this is insult. I think this is. If I would not love anyone to do this to me, and that's why I don't do it to any other person. So I think it's not nice. So I was quite shocked to read the recent study that I think it was a US-based study that 61% of parents of 13 to 17 years old children are regularly monitoring their online behavior. 48% know their children passwords to access their online platforms.
That little? I thought it would be much more. I thought it would be 98%.
But up to 17 years old, this is practically adult. So this is, hey, what society is it? I don't know. I wouldn't love to be living in such home.
But they will make mistakes. They will make bad things.
Yeah, but this is
happen.
world. This is world. Yeah, the children for millennia have been making mistakes. So still, this is the safest type of world that ever existed. So this is like the overprotective parents who are trying to minimize the contact with bacteria and other microbes and turn up that they actually harm their kids because they are not prepared to the world without there, which is not sterile. So
okay, Birgit, can you go to the parents of the children in your school and tell them this? Hey, this is normal. Light bullying, fantastic.
I'm not a parent myself, and I can fall into that hole, of course. But in our school, and what I have advised to all of Estonian school teachers to be present in this kind of environments where the students are, and the students are also saying that it is good because then they start to behave better. Of course, now I heard another article that students have left the Facebook because the parents are there and the grandmother is there. So this is another problem because the adults are not following the students to Instagram and these kind of things. But we have young teachers, so they will follow them there. So at least we have an idea what is there. But yeah, I don't like to be monitored myself and to monitor others. Because I know my students that when they feel that the teachers are and the parents are monitoring them, because we have e-school in Estonia, and when the parents are looking all the time in e-school, then they will do something with their Wi-Fi router and the e-school is not available at home anymore, sadly. So the children will strike back. And it is even worse in that sense that we just could talk about these kind of things. So for the parents, always be present when your child needs you and not say that I'm working or I'm tired or these kind of things.
And going back to what Mart said about not taking away the technology, you can't take away the computers and the technology because you're taking away their social networks, their everything. It's completely different than when we were younger, and if they took it away,
You
it
were
was like,
grounded,
oh.
weren't you? In the States, it was a big thing. Maybe it still is.
You're grounded. You couldn't go out. You couldn't go to prom.
It's the same thing, isn't it?
It's But if they take away
Did it work? Does grounding work?
It did for me.
Well, so it's digital grounding is the
But
next
no,
thing.
you can't take away my computer. I'll have trouble too. I'll be in big trouble.
But no, but I wanted to know that, you know, if a parent comes to the school and there's a problem, an electronic problem of some kind, then most probably they will come to you and say, hey, what kind of school is this? Why are you not monitoring what the kids are doing online? Why isn't anybody doing anything? Why do you let them run wild and just, you know, bully my child? How can you do this? You will be fired.
In our school, we have this kind of committee where there is always, when there's this kind of cyberbullying or whatever is happening, and there is always the class teacher, psychologist, and me, and also the parent is in that group. So we discuss the problem. And usually it is that we contact the parent first when we see something happens. So our teachers are not monitoring, are present in the network, and then they see something, they will react immediately. All of our teachers have the e-safety training also with me. So we don't have that much these kind of things.
But it sounds like a good Big Brother talk, though. No? We're not monitoring, we're present.
But of course, there are a lot of things what is going on outside the school time and the area. And the parents are, even when they are living in the same room with the child, and the child is always online, then they will come to us and say, tell my child to do this and that. So we need to raise the parents also how to be a parent, because they are struggling a lot.
But I think it's important, I'm sorry to interrupt, important to note that her school is different.
Yeah.
This is one of the first times I'm hearing this, and I'm in Europe going around to different schools, and to have e-safety teachers and trained, it's not like that in
Estonia, we have trained in this program 8,000 or more. 8,000 teachers has been trained, and we have 14,000 teachers. So I think the program has been in every school. We have 550 schools. So we are doing okay. As a small country.
Yeah, it's not that abnormal, I would say. But with your remark that parent comes to school and says that, why don't you take care of my kids, and why don't you monitor what the kids do online? And so it brings me back to the years I was a school principal in a small rural school. When the capitalism arrived in Estonia, so with a village of a few hundred inhabitants, popped up 3 new pubs. Of course, immediately, and they were so eager to sell alcohol to anyone and cigarettes, so they didn't care about the laws, because they said, now we have this brand new freedom of Estonia, we are free to do anything. And then the parents started to demand me as a school principal to do something about it.
About the pubs?
Yeah. And in the beginning,
So what did you do?
I kind of felt responsibility, because I was young school principal. This was my first year. And I and vice principal together, we almost every night actually popped into these 3 pubs and checked whether the students were there or so. And at one point we said, hey, what we're doing, come on. This is not school. Our responsibility lies with the school environment. We don't have to take care about this one. And that's exactly that. The school is not supposed to be policing online. So, of course, if there is something wrong, we should do something. Eventually, we found up quite a good practice. If we had some signals like this, first we said that to the parents, that why do you come to us? They go to this barman and say that this is not nice thing to sell alcohol to minors. But at the same time, we immediately contacted this bar also, and we said that if you continue this, the police will visit you next week. And it stopped just like this. So the same is with the digital world. So there are solutions, like you mentioned. We have this web police, for instance, and many institutions that give support or guidance. So peers can do something immediately on their own. And actually, in most of the cases, kids handle it already before it becomes so big that it reaches parents or school.
Okay, we have now discussed here the side of the parents and the school, but it's funny, Elizabeth mentioned the word that's not very often mentioned in Estonia. There's a third party to it here, or the fourth party, the kids themselves also. And to end this part of discussion, I want to rephrase this word. You said community. We don't really talk about community here very much, but you brought community up. So what's the community here in this area, in this question? And what should the community do about it? Am I community if I see some kids on the train doing something wrong on the internet? Should I go there and say, hey, no naked selfies on trains?
Me personally, I would. As long as I'm not going to get attacked, because I am the paranoid lawyer, I would say something, especially for the young women who may not be thinking. Of course, I would. I would try to be as discreet as possible, but I would. Would I go back later and report to the parents? Probably not. I would try to let the child handle it alone, but just pull them out of a not so positive situation.
But the problem here is that personal technology is so personal. Yeah. We don't really, I mean, if somebody was watching something on TV that would not be good for them, we would feel almost natural to go and say, hey, maybe this is not for you. But if they're on the personal device, in their personal space, then it feels really weird to go and interfere as community.
But it also depends on where they are. If they're in the schoolroom, in the classroom, and they're looking at porn on YouTube or something, well, obviously someone's going to intervene, I would hope. If it's the same thing if they're at another child's house and they're on a play date. I keep saying play dates, but I'm talking for all ages. Mine are very young, so I'm sorry. It would be the same thing there. It does unfortunately depend on location.
Okay.
But community works in different ways. So I had recently quite an interesting experience with one small community among the parents of the school where I used to be principal, and then later, until last year, I was the member of the school board. That small but very active and vocal group of parents formed, and they believed that mobile phones are causing brain cancer in high rates, and running blood from your nose, and electro supersensitivity, and so I think they had like long list of damage the mobile phones could do, and they had a very simple solution. Let's pick them, remove them from kids in the morning as soon as they arrive at school, and they keep them back only in the evening. So this is one community. So what my point is that there are many communities, and every community has their own agenda. And this is the feature of a normal democratic society, that there is always ongoing discussion between these agendas. And even this kind of crazy communities, from my perspective, sorry, but they are good because they are raising some questions and they are opening up again the discussion, which eventually leads to the same important point that is everything okay? Should we change something? And why? And what are the core values our school is following, and so on? This is very important discussion. And sometimes, without such communities, the discussion just gets too quiet, and we start to take school or kids or technology for granted. But it's not. So it's always changing, and that's why this is the role of communities, to raise up the issues and then to discuss them publicly.
Very good. It's a good place here to continue to my part two of this discussion, which is, if we remove, or let's say, if we take a conservative approach to children and tech, will these children grow up to be inferior in some way?
That's a tough question. I like it. For me, the reason, the way that I look at that question, because I have been asked something similar in the past, I think that technology today, learning and understanding literacy, media literacy, and I'm not meaning hardcore coding and things like that, but just understanding the basics, it's like what learning English was 20 years ago. It's something that is good in an international community. It's going to help you. It won't hinder you. That's really what I liken it to. My boys, again, they're 6 and they're 9. They take coding classes, but very simple things. Do I want them to become total IT people? Not necessarily, but if they have those basic skills, I think it's necessary.
Yeah, but this is learning. But I mean, in
part of
general,
learning, yeah.
hanging out with a phone in your hand most of the day, if children do that.
No, my children aren't hanging out with their phone.
Okay.
No.
Yeah, but imagine that this is something similar like asking your kid to walk only backwards or to live with one arm tied to your back. So yeah, you can survive, of course. But why to do it? Why? Because the technology is amplifier, as we were discussing. It empowers you. It's not only about technology. It's about your social network. It's about your educational opportunities. So it actually helps children in so many subtle ways. Why to take this away? Of course, again, we come back to the issue of paranoia, but so some parents do it, but then they are ending up in the situation of the candies in the party, as you reminded me. So,
Yeah, exactly.
yeah. So, yeah, you can raise this. It's important question again to raise and to discuss, but eventually everyone makes his or her own decision. But my answer to your question would be definitely yes. We would. It would be inferior to kids, but it wouldn't kill them, of course. So it wouldn't. So.
And even the name of our panel is Possibilities of the Digital World. I mean, so we know it's huge, it's vast, it opens up doors, and not even just for the communication value of speaking to people across the world. It's beyond what we can think of today. We cannot think of the next implications of technology, what's going to be the next big thing, because it will be unimaginable. So I think to deprive our children of that, just because we don't want them to have a smartphone in their hand all day, could be a little short-sighted.
Birgit? No?
It has changed my life. Probably if there's no technology, I wouldn't get the job because my handwriting is awful. But with computers, I can do a long text, a very good text, and yeah, it changed my career, and I love it. So why forbid everything to others? So join us.
Join the revolution.
What should the skills of the future be? What are the possibilities that we ought to be discussing here? What should we teach our children?
Some digital citizenship, which includes everything. It's vast, digital citizenship. I'm talking media literacy. I'm talking rights and responsibilities, understanding access. We were talking about buying things online, consumerism, participation. We need to teach them how the same ways that we're raising our children as parents today, we're raising them to be good citizens. We need to teach them to be good citizens online with all that entails. Being kind, empathy. My goodness, we just don't see enough of that. At least outside of Estonia, because I understand now this is a different place. I'm coming back.
So I mentioned this project we had with 20 pilot schools, Samsung Digital Turn. So we just started a new project, which is again funded by Samsung, and this is called Samsung Digital Pass, or TG Pass, where we try to identify the really minimum set of hygiene level digital skills that help a youngster, especially the ones who are studying in vocational schools, to survive in the digital world and to be able to compete in the global job market. So we came up with 9 basic skills. So we are using this open badges system to award and certify the skills. So these badges are collect friends, stuff, links, websites, memories, music, and so on. Then the second one is make sense. So it means that categorize, annotate what you have collected, then share. And you should know also with whom and what to share and when not to share. Then create with digital tools something. The tool could be just your mobile phone, but you still can be a creator, digital creator. The next one is collaborate. Next one is be safe, be nice. Next one is fix it. When technology doesn't work, or or your app doesn't work, or service doesn't work, just to be able, with the help of YouTube, to make it work again. And the last one is make it better. So it means that anything you do, be a hairdresser or car mechanic, you can improve something at your workplace using really the simplest technology you have in your pocket. So these are the basic skills you ask.
I like these very much, actually. Birgi, should we teach coding to each and every child?
If they want to do it.
But if no, they don't. Maybe they don't want to.
Systematic way of thinking is more better, but not always the higher level coding. But the small, easy gamification coding, yes.
You mean
should
the games that you arrange the blocks and have a robot do something?
Yes, yes. This is.
So we should teach this.
Yes. Also basic skills how stuff works, security, and also how to be creative. And as I mentioned, how to fix things and make it better, because we need this kind of engineering background people more.
Do you have a question there? Okay.
Does this work?
Yeah.
What is the highest benefit of coding?
Systematic way of thinking, that you can analyze things and you figure it out, what is the first and what is the end and what is in the between.
Does it open many doors in the future?
Does it open many doors in the future?
Probably, because I think in Estonia we have missing 8,000 coders now. I think in the world it's better, more.
But can every person become a coder?
No, no, of course not. I'm not a coder.
I'm not. That's why
I'm kind of skeptical. I don't think that we need to teach coding to every kid, and I also don't think that learning to move robots or Lego blocks from one point to another in the age of 8 would somehow have an impact on your career decisions. So,
But it's fun.
but it's fun. It's fun.
What
but
about the systematic way of thinking? It is a systematic way of thinking.
Sorry, I'm the third generation mathematics teacher, just like my wife and my sister, and so yeah, mathematics will do. So you can be excellent programmer if you have a solid foundation in mathematical and mathematics and science. So learning anything is like learning a new language. So music is a language, just like chemistry and biology are languages with their own semantics and grammar and everything. So right now we're teaching like 16 languages in the school. And some are more abstract and some are not abstract at all, like dancing or physical activities. So this is also language. Do we need to add the 17th language as a compulsory, which is programming, because it is a quite specific and very formalized language? I'm not sure. So some kids love it. So as an extracurricular activity, coding clubs, this has to be there. It's extra important. But forcing it to everyone, and especially in the age of 14, 15, and 13, like UK, doesn't.
We are saying in Estonia at the age of what, 6, 7, 8 even.
Yeah, but this is fun. This is different. This is different, and this is exactly, it's playing, and this is Lego, and this is what they do there is really cool. But what, for instance, UK does now in their coding curriculum, where each and everyone has to learn at a very difficult age, of 13 or so, abstract computational thinking. I would not. But this is my personal.
It's difficult. Do we have time for a few questions? Anyone?
Question that doesn't really touch coding. May I ask?
Yeah.
One moment.
Are you going to read it?
She's prepared.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
If communication is the key between parents and children for keeping up or keeping children in check, what will happen to the children who aren't close to their parents or who don't have parents at all?
They grow up.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but this is when we said as well that about talking with a teacher or another trusted adult, an older sibling. There has to be somebody, at least one trusted person that can help guide a child.
Not every child has a teacher or a close person they can talk to like that.
But they grow up still and be a part of the society. So, and everybody who has done bad things in their life, even they have bad situations, and even when you're adult, when you do bad things, after when you go to prison, you come still back to society and you still can live with us and be part of the society. So everything would be fine. And yeah.
As she said before, she said that children are supposed to be monitored or kept in check just so they wouldn't cause anything too chaotic.
Who said that?
Nobody said that?
Nobody said that.
Nobody said that.
Not in word by word, but
No.
No.
We didn't imply that either.
No.
No way. Children have to play. Children
Yeah.
have to make mistakes.
Yes.
Yeah.
okay. Thank you then.
Go enjoy yourself.
Yes.
Okay, any more questions? Yes, there is one question here. I never know we're over time by a few minutes, but let's take a couple of questions. Here, in front of, in this table.
Yeah.
Hi, thank you very much for your interesting discussion. I'm Lauri Palso. I come from the Finnish Safer Internet Center from Finland. I would like to ask you to specify, the topic is about the possibilities of digital world. What would be, from your perspective, the most important possibilities that the digital world offers for us, especially from the perspective of human rights and the support to human rights?
With human rights, again, Sonia, I was at the Council of Europe and did a presentation with Sonia Livingston, and she did something absolutely brilliant. She took the Convention of the Rights of the Child and laid out all of the articles on one side, and on the right side was the digital world. And it was really explaining how each and every one of those rights applied to the digital age. Actually, someone else did something similar, applying the legal concepts to their part of the world. It's an interesting question as well, because people have asked me sometimes, is technology a human right? And I find that difficult to answer, because of course I think that everybody should have access. But then I look at things where I see children in different countries selling a kidney to buy an iPad, and I start thinking, has it gone too far? I think that we have to find a way to balance, to make sure that those legal obligations are respected completely and totally with every aspect of human rights and including children's rights, because it's just vital. It's vital for all of us in all of our countries, and it's vital for the world.
Thank you. Oh my God, we have so many questions now. I'm sorry about your coffee break. Let's take this. There was either one or two, three? Okay, let's take these three questions and then no more.
Mine is actually just a comment to the young lady with the question what children should do. From the experience in my own household, I have a 18-year and a 20-year-old. My daughter had the experience that she had classmates who had very strict parents, and the classmates did not know who to turn to. And their solution was turning to more savvy colleagues, friends, who had more open parents. And I sometimes was asked to consult for those kids, because my daughter knew she could ask me any question and tell me everything.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, please.
Okay. I was wondering, I got curious about what you told us about the Estonian schools and using personal devices for teaching. And you said, Mart, that a large majority of the students have these kind of devices. And you also, Birgit, you told us about the very different school day where there's no ringing and no structure, or not the same kind of structure that most of us are used to. So I was wondering, how does that affect different student types? We see that in the traditional school, at least in Norway, where I come from, girls are doing better than boys now? Do you see any difference in gender or in other kind of like kids who come from homes who don't have the access to these kind of tools, or who can't support the kids in the same way? Do you see any? I know it's a recent experience, but what can you comment?
I would say that the situation in that regard hasn't been changing in Estonia very much in the last 15 years. Estonia, in all international comparative studies, has been different remarkably from many other countries because socioeconomical background of parents has no impact on the existence of technology and access to internet at home in Estonia. It has been difficult to explain, but somehow Estonian parents, they managed to find somewhere some technology and pay for internet access because they really considered that this is important. Or to be more exact, that the wealthy parents are restricting access to technology and online environments in Estonia as likely as poor parents because of these different reasons. But still, the share of such kids is very small. But also the other aspect is that in Estonia we are, let's say, much more or much less sensitive maybe with regard to this issue that some kids might not have access. So the Estonian teacher regularly, it's not even the issue to say to kid that to the class that everyone brings the smartphones tomorrow, and if one kid says that next day that I don't have one and I was not able to borrow one, then the teacher just said, okay, you will use together with your chairmate just one device for two of you. In Finnish school, this would be impossible. It's just that their standards or their kind of ethical level or approach or sensitivity is so high that even if there is one kid who cannot afford for different reasons, then there is stop and ban and until school buys one for everyone, because school can't buy only for this one kid. So that's why I say that we have a little bit more relaxed attitude here, but it doesn't say that the problem doesn't exist. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Was there a question here in front? Yeah, that's the last one. Thank you.
I wanted to ask, what will be your means to preserve verbal communication? When I am going on bus, I see all the youngsters, they are having their headphones, they don't speak anymore together, they are, even with we adults, when we are going in a restaurant, everybody is sitting on his iPhone and showing the photos to the other. I think perhaps in 5 years we will have a conference about verbal communication and the challenges and the means to preserve it.
And the children will be making monkey noises instead of this video.
Yeah, I have heard completely opposite concerns because we all know that this digital technology is moving very fast towards audiovisual. So I have heard concerns that text is going to miss very soon from communication because everyone, you look like Siri, so everyone speaks to the phone. And you have to speak very clearly, otherwise Siri won't understand you. So, yeah, so as I said, there are so many ways technology can scare us. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Our time is really up and much more.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.